What's up, guys? All right, so today I'm going to share a template, a copy link for the power rating system that ForLoki uses in War. It's fully updated, exactly the same algorithm that we're using in Season 20. And then I'm going to attempt to very briefly kind of explain how to keep the spreadsheet working. It is something that will require somebody in the Alliance to update on a war-to-war basis, but the updates are very minimal, and the whole process takes, after war, it takes me about 15 to 20 minutes, usually about 20 minutes. And then the other factor that you guys will need to know is if you want to implement the power rating system for your Alliance, you will need your Alliance members to start logging their war fights. And what I mean by that is, in ForLoki, we have a separate chat for each battle group. So I'm in BG3. We have a chat for BG3 Defender Log, where if I fight Node 1 and it's a domino and I die once, then I need to log that on Node 1. I fought a domino, I died once, and then we always have the IGN of the player who took that fight. Because that's going to be critical to making sure that the power rating system works. The other thing to note real quick before we get into this is if you guys have never logged defenders before, you've never asked your members to do that, obviously you need to start because the system will not work without having that information. But also it might be a good idea for you guys to, maybe for the last few wars of this season or during the off season or for half of a season or even a full season, have people log their deaths or just their fights in general, but not include that in the power rating system. Don't do power ratings. Give yourself a season or a half season buffer because the node values are ultimately what create the power ratings. And the node values come from how many times your Alliance has taken fights, specifically taken nodes, and died to those nodes. That's how the system knows how hard a node is and how many points to give a player for clearing that node, whether they solo or die once or whatever. So just a couple things to note. You can do it right out of the gate if you want to, but the first few wars that you guys are using the power rating systems, since you will have such a small amount of data, since the sheet will have such a small amount of data to pull from, the numbers are going to be probably pretty wacky. And then the bigger the sample size basically for the system, the numbers will start to kind of even out and they'll start to become accurate to how hard nodes actually are. So let me kind of get into that. So the core component to power ratings is this right here. It's adjusted difficulty rating, or ADR. And what ADR does is it takes the number of times you as an Alliance have taken a fight or a node. It takes that into account, and then it considers how many times as an Alliance you guys have died to that node, and it's going to produce a value which is called the adjusted difficulty rating value, or the ADR node value right here, which is essentially just an indicator of how hard a node is. So in ForLoki, for example, we're a pretty good Alliance. Generally, we're clearing the map with single-digit deaths. However, we die as an Alliance more often to the boss node, node 52, than any other node. So the node value for the boss node for ForLoki is going to be higher. And what that means is if I take a boss and I solo the boss, I'm going to get more points for soloing that node because it's harder than I would if I soloed node 1. Here's the node value algorithm up here. It looks really wonky. It's not super complicated. I'm not going to get into explaining what all of these numbers are because it really doesn't matter right now. If you guys want to use the system, there are just a couple things that you'll need to adjust war by war. And if you do try to implement this system and you have any questions, you guys can definitely send me a line PM. My line ID is exactly the same as my IGN and this channel. It's Ludum Taters. And you can ask questions, and I'm happy to answer questions, but I just don't have time to do a one-on-one setup for your Alliance, and that's why I'm making this video. So, all right, so as an officer or leader, if you guys do want to implement the power rating system, this is what you need to do on a war-to-war basis, which is going to produce the numbers for the power rating. So if we go over to this tab here, this is the power ratings tab. All right, adjusted difficulty rating, that's where you're going to input information. All right, so after every war, whoever is handling the power rating system is going to input information in the adjusted difficulty rating tab, and I'll get into that in a second. And then the power ratings tab, all these numbers here are going to auto-populate based on the information that you guys put in the adjusted difficulty rating tab. All right, so going back to the ADR sheet where you guys will actually input information. Again, you need your members to log the fights that they take. At the start of each war, we post a list of nodes 1 through 55, and then as members take their fights, they will copy that. They'll edit it to include the fights that they took, how many deaths they gave, stuff like that, and then they'll paste it, and then the next person will just take that one, copy it, edit it, paste it, and then eventually it fills up and all 50 fights will have been taken if you guys are fully clearing the map. And then as an officer, you can send that over to the person that you guys are, relying on to do the power ratings, and then they can take all that information for each battle group and they can input the data in here. So, here we have BG1. All right, we have War 1, kills and deaths, and then we have Player 1. All right, so let's say that this is Taters right here. All right, so Player 1 and BG1, that's Taters. Let's say that I took 5 fights last war. All right, and let's do some examples here. So I took the boss node. I got the kill, but I died once. All right, so I fought him twice. I died once. I didn't get the solo. All right, and then I also took node 49. I did get the solo there. So I would log 1 kill and 0 deaths. And then let's say down here on node 39, I went in first, I didn't get the kill, and then I had a buddy clean it up for me. Okay, so obviously this is not a very efficient war for me. Let's say that I took that one, and then I also took node 18. I don't even know if these nodes align, but it's just for an example. Actually, let's say this. Let's say that I died twice to the boss node. So I had a really bad war. I had 3 deaths. I didn't finish this node, all that stuff. All right. So if we look over here, this stuff has changed, right? All right. So like the boss node here, the value for this node, because it has been fought once and died to twice, is up to 1.44. What that means is if I go into the boss node and I solo that node, then instead of getting 1 point, which is what the value would be for this node if I soloed, I get 1.44 points towards what is called my kill rating. All right, and the kill rating, which is over here, is just the sum of this right here. That's the sum of the node value of the fights that I fought or that I killed minus the penalty of the fights that I died to. Okay, basically, as an alliance, what you need to do is you need to go in every single war for all 30 members, and you need to log this. All right. So what I do is I ask the other officers in BG1 and BG2 and for Loki to PM me online their defender logs once they're fully filled out by their battle groups, and then I use the search tab on that, and I search for the player name. So I search for Brian. BG is in BG1, Brian Grant. So I'll search for that, and it'll highlight all of the times that his name pops up. And if he's logging his fights correctly, that makes it really easy for me to find. So let's say he has 3 fights, then I would go in here, I would find the Brian Grant section here. Maybe he's player 2. Obviously, we're in War 1. And then I'm just going to go through, and if he has 3 fights, I'm going to line them up right here, and I'm just going to log his kills and his deaths for each of the nodes that he took based on that log, okay? That's it. I do that for all 30 members. So it takes me about 20 minutes to log this information after every single war for Loki. It is relatively quick, I think, and I do think also that it's worth the time invested, because I think it's going to give you guys a lot of fun. But so that's what I would do, and then that's going to start populating these node values. All right, so that's the first thing that you guys as an officer or leader have to manually input after every single war. You have to input the deaths for all 30 members, all members that participated. And you guys can even do this if you're only running 1 or 2 battle groups, it doesn't matter. Whoever has taken fights, their fights need to be logged to make the system work. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is if we scroll down here, we have this nice magic number down here. All right. This magic number is kind of like the key to your power rating system updating with the new node values after every single war, okay? So what I'm going to look at, all right, I'm going to go here, I'm going to double click to open up the actual algorithm for this node, or I'm sorry, for this value here. You can also go up here, all right? And what this is over here, what this is taking is that's taking this field here. So if you guys are using multiple seasons worth of data, let's say that this is season 19 and this is season 20, all right? And then let's say that you guys died, you know, 8 times here, 12 times here, 4 times here, and then to the boss you guys died 15 times over the course of the season as Alliance. Let's actually bump that up to 20. All right, then I want to make sure that we have a sum down here. Just follow along because I promise it's worth it. I know that this can be confusing. Once you guys get this thing going, it's so easy. All right, and then what this number here needs is, the first thing is you need to include all seasons that you're pulling data from, okay? So let's do that. All right, so now we're taking 2 seasons worth of data here, all right? Season 19 right here, and season 20 right here. All right, and then over here, this is the number of defenders that you guys should be clearing if you guys are fully clearing war. If you guys face an alliance that doesn't place 150 defenders, don't worry about it. Just leave this the way it is. Everything will normalize itself over time. All right, and then this is the total number of wars that this sheet is collecting data from. All right, so if you guys fought, season 19 only had 9 wars that counted. So we'll do 9 here. And then if you guys are logging information for the first war, right, of season 20, it would be 9 plus 1, and then leave everything else the same, all right? So what you guys need to do, let's throw some crazy values in here. Boom, let's see, 9, 7, 1, 3, 2, 1, 1, 4, 5, 6, all right. All you guys need to do war to war, all right? So the first thing is inputting everybody's kills and deaths. The second thing that you need to do is you need to go to this sheet, and all you have to do is down there, here, this magical number, you need to update and add the number of wars. So after war 2, boom, 9 plus 2. Season wars from last season plus 2 from this season, boom, all right? That's going to produce this number. Now, you take this number, 0594, and we're going to go all the way up to the very first node value here. Now, this needs to, it needs to have the exact same algorithm as that bottom number, so we want to include both seasons, season 19 and season 20. Leave that the same. This needs to be 9 from last season, and then 2. So it's going to be the exact same values as this one. All right, now here's where it's different. You need to take this number, 0.0594, and you need to add it right here. All right, so 0.0594, boom, enter. There's my node value. I'm going to drag this all the way down so that all of these nodes have the exact same algorithm. And there we have our node values. And this is going to update every single war. So after war 3, you're going to do the same thing. And then these numbers are going to fluctuate a little bit. If you guys have a good war against the boss and all 3 battle groups solo, this number is going to come down a little bit. But it fluctuates war to war based on how well you guys are doing against every single node on the map. All right? So here are your node values, okay? And what these translate to is a bonus every time you get a solo or every time you get a kill, all right? And a penalty every time you guys die to that node. So again, if I take the boss node and let's say I solo it, for that one kill, for that one solo, I get 3.24 points. If I die to it, because it's so hard, a death to that should be penalized less. So I'm only going to get minus 0.36 points for dying. That's my penalty for dying to that fight. All right, and the reason that we have this is so that if 5 people are taking 5 fights, one person goes 5-0 on the 5 easiest fights on the map, and one person goes, 5-2, like they died twice to their 5 fights, but that includes some of the hardest fights on the map. They shouldn't be evaluated with the same numbers because one person is taking harder fights, so they deserve more points if they solo their fights, and their penalties should be less if they lose to those fights because they're harder fights. That's how we do power rating. So that's all you have to do. So step 1, if you're implementing this system for your alliance, you need to log all the fights, every single war. Step 2, make sure that you have this number set up correctly. And then step 3 is make sure that you have the ADR node value algorithm updated after every single war with this little key number here. All right, that's it. If you do that, you go over to the Power Ratings tab, and everything else is going to auto-populate. So that is it. Again, if you guys have any questions and this is super confusing, send me a PM on the Line app. And then the other cool thing is you go over to BG Comparison, and this is going to actually show you how the battle groups are doing compared to each other. All right. This is total number of deaths plus boss pile, which is a rule that we implemented in For Loki. Basically, if we have a war that is out of hand, whether we're getting our asses beat or we are crushing somebody, we're not going to ask our guys to boost up a bunch for bosses that are going to cost a lot of items and could potentially kill us anyway. We're just going to pile on, but we're not going to give somebody credit in power ratings for getting that kill if they're just piling on the boss. Nor are we going to penalize people for dying on a pile up, because obviously nobody's going to volunteer to pile up if it's going to affect their power ratings numbers. Right? These are path fights. This is Section 1 minis and shared fights. This is Section 2 minis and shared fights. These are mini island fights, and then this is the boss fight, and then these are pile fights so that we know to separate boss and pile stuff. Okay? I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, shoot me over a line PM, and I can answer individual questions and try to help you guys get everything set up. I just can't jump on calls with you, walk you through it step by step. This is the very best that I can do. I know that I talk a lot, but this is the best that I can do. So again, in the link, or in the description, there is a copy link. When you click that link, it's going to force you to make a copy of this template. You can save it to your own Google Drive, and then you can access that, and it'll be your own. So you made a copy. It's your own copy at this point. Nobody else has access to it. And then, you just update it as you go along. And season by season, you'll have to update this number too. Just add in these seasons. You can just add in columns. It's very, very easy once you get the hang of it. Once you do it for 1 or 2 wars, it's going to be pretty simple, and you'll understand everything that you need to do war to war and season to season. That is it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Shoot me a PM or comment on this video if you guys have any questions. I will respond to comments, and I can help you with that. But yeah, I hope that you guys are able to follow along and implement this. If you do, let me know how it's gone, and I'll catch you in the next video.